Hey, what's up guys? It's Edward, the world's people's champ, and today's video is called How to Stop Screwing Yourself Over. You see, every time you get in the way from taking the actions that you know you need to take to accomplish your goal, then in that moment, you literally sabotage yourself. Now, what does the word sabotage mean? Well, let me look at my trusted notes over here. In the dictionary, it says that sabotage actually means deliberately destroying, damaging, or obstructing something. So every time you get in your way from taking action, then you are deliberately sabotaging yourself. You are creating your own barriers, and in that moment, you are in inaction. Not in action. Does that make sense? But you are not in action, which is inaction. Not inaction. Hopefully that makes sense. So the goal is to constantly stay in action, but we stop ourselves. We screw ourselves over because we start honoring the negative voice, or we start listening to all the naysayers and all the people that say that can't be done, you won't do it, but look at your problems and look at your challenges and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden you are stopped from taking action. Most of the times it's not them, it's over here. You stop yourself from taking action. You limit yourselves, or you create a limit because you sabotage your own results. Or maybe you're in a different place. Maybe you are a person that takes a lot of action, and then when you're creating all these powerful results and you start experiencing an increase in income, maybe you move to a better neighborhood, whatever the case may be, and you start to enjoy or taste this new level of success, you start to sabotage yourself from creating new levels of success. And now you go back to where you were before. So there are people that sabotage themselves before they get off the ground. And then there are those that sabotage themselves once they start to taste new levels of success. So I don't know where you are on that spectrum, but today I'm going to share with you a few things that you can put into practice so that you can break those mental barriers every time you notice that you are sabotaging yourself. Now, where did this all start? Well, it started when you were a little boy or a little girl. You see, when you were a little boy, you dreamt of someday becoming a pilot, a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, a businesswoman, and you had all these dreams and aspirations of one day flying the world, or of one day being a doctor so you could help thousands of patients and cure them from all their illnesses. And you had all these dreams, and all these dreams inspired you to be more, become more, so that you could do more. But when it came time to take the action, you started taking the actions. But then this little negative voice started to tell you, hey, if you become a successful entrepreneur, then people will start looking at you in a different way. People will start borrowing money from you. Or if you become a doctor, everyone's going to call you for medical advice. Or if you become a lawyer, everyone in your family, friends and family and colleagues are going to start to call you for legal advice. So, you know what? Nah. I'd rather not become a businessman. I'd rather not become a doctor. I'd rather not become a pilot. I'd rather not become XYZ. Because if I become that, then all of a sudden, I'm going to have all these other people think differently about me, or start asking me for favors that I may not even want to do. So in that moment, you actually stop yourself from moving forward because you create this story about that. You see, we live inside of conversations. Each conversation is a story. We have stories about money. We have stories about relationships. We have stories about how things should be and shouldn't be. And those stories live inside of our conversation that we have on a consistent basis. And if that conversation creeps into your head, then obviously it will limit you, or it will put a stop on your effectiveness. And in that moment, you just create a barrier. And in that moment, you sabotage yourself. You screwed yourself over. No one did it to you. You screwed yourself over. So here's my invitation, if that's you. I actually want you to say the following. If you are concerned with what people will think about you, and what if I achieve this, or if I achieve that, then this is going to happen and that could happen. We have all these concerns. Then here's my invitation. I actually want you to say this out loud. Right now, this moment, say this out loud. It's actually okay for me to want to be a doctor. It's actually okay for me to want to be a millionaire. Actually, I deserve it. I actually deserve it. You see, in the moment that you step into this new space of abundance, instead of scarcity, because those negative conversations that I was just talking about a few minutes ago, those are scarcity conversations. But this conversation is a conversation that lives inside the space of abundance. It's actually okay for me to want this, and I actually deserve it. When you say that to yourself, it frees you up from all these constraints, self-imposed constraints. It frees you from all these negative and self-imposed constraints, and it empowers you to keep moving forward, because now you're saying to yourself, I actually deserve it. Instead of, oh my God, if I accomplish that, what would they think of me? You see, it's a mental switch. Simple, but effective and powerful. Hey guys, the reason why I shared this formula with you, this simple strategy that basically creates a mental shift in your mindset, the reason why I shared this is because recently I was reading some statistics online that said that 1/3 of all the people that live in the United States are dissatisfied with their lives. That's about 100 million people. Basically, that 100 million people, and I don't know if you fall into that category, but that group of people, 100 million people, are dissatisfied with their lives. And I would assert that they've given up on their dreams. I would assert that they let those negative conversations impose or change their view on the world. Not just on their view of the world, but more importantly, how they relate to themselves, how they see themselves. How you see yourself is a direct reflection of how you see the world. And how you see the world is a direct reflection of how you see yourself. I know we've heard this, and you will continue hearing it millions and millions and millions of times over the time of your life. People just give up on their dreams because something happened either externally or internally. The economy fell apart. They got divorced. They lost a huge amount of money. They made a bad investment, or maybe it wasn't externally. Maybe it was internally. Maybe they saw something happen, or they witnessed something, and they made that mean something about themselves. I must suck in business. I must not be good in relationships. And basically, in that moment, they just screwed themselves over, whether it was externally or internally. That's why positive self-talk is powerful, especially when you are having negative conversations of why it can't be done, this ain't fair, what if I do become a successful businessman, like I said, just a few minutes ago at the beginning of this video, then that means I might have to manipulate people to maintain my level of success. Or if I become a lawyer, then that means people will perceive me as a bad person because they say that lawyers don't have hearts. Yeah, there's all these lawyer jokes. I do not know any lawyer jokes. I have nothing against lawyers. I have several friends that are lawyers. As a matter of fact, lawyers have helped me. But getting back to the point. The point is that we stop ourselves. So for the next 7 days, I actually want you to notice and be aware every time you are entertaining a negative conversation. Because you can have a negative conversation. Just don't entertain it. Because if you entertain it, then you believe that it will happen. Or you buy into that story. And if you buy into that story, you just screwed yourself over, my friend. So, I can give you a perfect example of this. The year was 2007. The real estate market had crashed. I was a real estate broker with my business partner at the time. We had about 35 agents in our office. And overnight, within 60 days, every deal that we had pending, about almost 50 real estate deals in our office, 98% of all those deals got wiped out. Why did they get wiped out? Because all of those banks went under. In 60 days, 90% of all the pending business that we had disappeared. Now, let me translate. What that meant was that my mortgage payment, my car payments, all of my bills, all of my responsibilities, forget about me, all the agents in my offices, my business partner, what about the 5 secretaries we had, what about the second business, which was the mortgage business that we had on the second floor, what about the title company? Now there was no money to pay the rent, bills. Oh my God, what a mess. Woo! I was emotionally devastated. Oh, and I'm gonna share with you a secret. 6 months before the market crashed, I got separated with my ex-wife, and we were going through a divorce. Oh my God. Tough times. Tough times. And when you're going through tough times, you know, when you walk into the office, in my particular case, you know, and all of a sudden the agents are not showing up, secretaries are asking us, when are we going to get paid? And I found myself having to let go staff, having to let go people. We had to downsize. It was frustrating. So when you have all of these negative problems bombarding you, all this negative energy, it's all around you. Problems, bill collectors, you have all these challenges. It's like the world is falling apart. You know, I started drinking more. I started playing more poker online. I would go to underground poker basements in Queens just to distract my mind. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. Why are you judging me? Stop judging me. Are you judging me? But the point of the matter is that I snapped out of it. I said, wait a second, did I give up mentally? You know, Edwin Munoz, the motivational trainer in the real estate company, always on top of my team, my staff. Let's do more, let's be more, let's have more, let's get more business, let's get more sales. This guy is depressed and down and entertaining all these negative conversations and becoming a victim of the economy. I said, wait a second. If I want to change my economy, then it starts with changing my inner economy. So I said, I am going to stop entertaining these negative thoughts. I'm not going to continue watching the press, the TV, the radio, social media. I'm not going to entertain all these negative things that are happening, because I am pretty sure there are people right now making a lot of money doing something different in the real estate world. I just have to find out what that is. So I decided to not screw myself over. And that's the point. I'm inviting you to not screw yourself over. Was I depressed? Yes, I was. Was I dealing with a lot? Yes, I was. But I decided to not entertain these negative conversations. And I decided to be somebody that I was not being in that moment. Did that register with you? Let me say that one more time. I chose to be someone that I was not being in that moment. Because in that moment, I was just full of hatred, anger. I was upset. I was frustrated. That's what I was being. So I chose to be somebody that I was not being. That's the first thing I did. The second thing I did was I decided not to watch social media and watch all these negative views. Basically, I was not going to allow any person or circumstance influence the positive mindset that I chose to get back into, that I chose to step into all over again. And I knew that if I wanted to turn around the situation, I had to turn around on the inside. So I just gave you a perfect example of what I started to do to rebuild and reinvent myself so that I could start creating new results. So for those 8 months that I was struggling emotionally, because I was at the impact, I was at the effect of everything that was happening, during those 8 to 12 months, it was almost a year. I was drinking more alcohol, I was playing more poker, I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing. No, I was not cheating. I was a single man at the moment, so I was partying hardy. I found money to party hardy. I'm just being real with you guys, right? I'm just being real. Yeah. But I said, wait a second. I can turn this around. I can turn this around. And I decided to do all of the things that I just shared with you. All these golden motivational tips and strategies that I shared with you in the last 10 to 15 minutes. I decided to put them into practice. And 1 year after the market collapsed, I reinvented myself. My business partner and I reinvented the way we did business. We started selling bank foreclosures, and within the next 24 months made over $1.8 million, paid off all our debt, sold my partnership, and then I moved on to become a full-time motivational speaker. There you go, that's my story. If you didn't know my story, now you know it. Then I started writing books. And if you want to check out some of the books and courses that I've created, just go to unleashyourchampion.com and you'll see the little tab that says store. You'll see some of the courses that I created from then till now. So there you go, guys. I chose to be a bit intimate with you so I can share with you how I put in practice what I just shared with you a few minutes ago. And now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to take this information and put it in practice. There's a huge gap between knowledge and action. People know a lot, people know they should do, but then there's the gap in the middle. So I want you to close the gap and go from knowledge to execution, from knowledge to execution, from knowledge to execution. I invite you today to put in practice 3 things that I shared in the last 12-15 minutes. Put it in practice and see what becomes available in your life out of taking new actions. Well, that is the end of the video. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Bye for now.
Yeah.